Okay, so for my final presentation, I will be presenting on if Airbnb is good or bad for the economy. Okay, so let's start off with a research that was conducted in 2014 that showed the negative impact that Airbnb had on one of the largest states in America, which is New York. Okay, so in 2014, there was a research conducted, right, in the year of 2014-15 that showed that from the previous year in the lodging industry, New York had lost over $2 billion. Okay? And one quarter of the $2 billion was lost in hotel revenue. So that's $450 million lost in hotel revenue. And the rest of the money was actually lost in four different categories: the loss of people's jobs, the loss of job wages, the construction sector, and tax revenue. Okay, talking about job losses, Airbnb's impact just in New York made people lose roughly 3,000 jobs. So Airbnb was indirectly responsible for over 3,000 people losing their jobs and losing their revenue for basically their salary. So is Airbnb completely bad and awful? Well, not quite. So yes, Airbnb did have a negative impact in New York, but it doesn't actually have a negative impact everywhere else in the United States of America. So to fully comprehend the effect that Airbnb has in the States of America, we need to first talk about what is the Airbnb effect. So you might be wondering, what is the Airbnb effect? So basically, the Airbnb effect is due to Airbnb's low prices, it actually makes people want to book more days compared to hotels and subsequently make more profit than certain hotels. Because as we know, hotels can be quite pricey, right? Some hotels can be $200, $300 a night US, right? But Airbnb, you can find rooms in the same area for roughly 100 or less. So what the Airbnb effect does, basically, it makes people stay longer in certain areas and at the end make more money than they would have made if those people had stayed in hotels, right? But this doesn't happen in every state, such as New York. So now let's look at another study conducted in 2014 from Harvard, which actually showed us that in certain states in America, Airbnb actually make more profit than hotels. So basically what their study showed is that since certain areas economy is mostly driven on traveling, such as New York, Airbnb's effect on New York did burn somewhat the economy. But what Airbnb did in different states is that they basically, so we need to understand the concept of peak season. What peak season is in hotels is that during that season, all the hotels are completely booked due to certain events, such as like Osheaga, for example. And basically, what Airbnb does in those areas that are completely booked during those seasons is that they offer people a place to stay even though all the hotels are booked in the rest of the area. So in that certain scenario, Airbnb does help the economy by letting people stay in a certain area that didn't have the space otherwise. Okay, but to completely answer the question of the topic, is Airbnb good or bad for the economy? Well, in the United States of America, it actually depends. It depends of the actual state or area or city, right? Because roughly in the studies conducted, only 10 cities roughly actually made a somewhat profit from Airbnb's effect. Only 10 cities showed a revenue increase of around 4%, which is, it is something, but it's not, compared to the actual downfall of certain other areas, it isn't that impressive. Okay, so for my own personal opinion, I feel that yes, Airbnb's ability to let people stay in certain areas is somewhat impressive and helps people throughout their stay. It's not that good for the economy for other states or cities in the United States of America. So I personally feel that Airbnb is not the future for the economy, especially because it does cause somewhat of job losses in a lot of places, such as New York. Okay, and finally, for my two sources that I have used for my presentation today, I did use one source that talked about New York's downfall in the lodging economy, and this source is PR Newswire. And for the positive effects of Airbnb, I found an article from Foundation of Economical Education. So yeah, that conducts my final presentation on Airbnb, if they are the future of the economy or not. And yes, so have a wonderful day.